because we are in Philadelphia, and what does Philadelphia love? I joke. Maryland does crab cakes and football. We do cheesesteaks and quarterback controversy.
Can we get a T-shirt made up for that?
Yeah, I might trademark that.
When Hurts comes back in, I think he can learn to say, hey, you know what? I don't have to scramble around in the backfield, try to make plays like these highlight Lamar Jackson style type plays. You can get the same effect by just dumping it off to Sanders and Scott. You can, and I think that's the biggest learning thing I think you can learn from the sideline, because
we are the Mac guys here on Birds 365, and we're adding a third. Our buddy Chris Franklin from NJ.com, good enough to hop on board with us. I'm just another individual who was in attendance yesterday at MetLife Stadium. I didn't ask Jeff Kerr this. I haven't asked John this, so I should ask this you, Chris Franklin. What did you eat yesterday?
That's I tried the eggs, I tried the sausage, the potatoes, fluffy scrambled eggs. They look like Yellow River. It was a little different. It was a different thing. I thought that was that Christie song Yellow River. I thought I was singing through my mind when I was sitting looking at it. So
I went straight to a hot dog, even though it was only like 12:10 in the afternoon. But I bypassed the breakfast thing, and mine was actually not bad. I didn't cost me about $17. $31 for 2 hot dogs, 2 Diet Cokes, and a French fry.
Worth it.
Adds up pretty damn quickly at MetLife. Yeah.
Got to pay C.J. Mosley.
Again, I'm going through my mind. I got the game on tape. I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but I don't quite remember CJ making any real big plays. Got a lot of tackles downfield, 8 yards, which isn't going to do you a whole hell of a lot of good, but C.J. Mosley did make a lot of tackles. But we don't want to talk about the Jets. We want to talk about the Eagles with Chris Franklin. What impressed you most about yesterday's Eagles win, Chris?
I thought that, you can't go without talking about Gardner Minshew. I thought his efficiency was really good in that game, and especially coming in off the bench, your first start in about a year, and to play well enough to move the ball down the field. I thought that was pretty good. But I'd be remiss in not saying the running game, Miles Sanders, first 100-yard game in almost a year to the date as well, too. And I thought the way that he was running, because a lot of times my gripe with Sanders was he would dance behind the line a lot before moving up, and he looked really decisive. He was patient. He waited for the cracks to open up, put a foot down on the ground, and he went. So I probably say you can't go remiss without saying Minshew, but I thought Sanders had a good day.
Yeah, it really did. Career high in carries. Never been that high before, Chris. I think he ended up 2 yards short. I think he had 122 once against Washington. So it was really close to setting a career high in rushing yardage. But, man, this running game, you look up there, I think 185 at the end of the game. So they didn't hit 200, but, Nate Herbig's a right guard. That Chasing Kelsey injury late, that's something we got to keep an eye on. That could be the one thing. They lose Jeff Stoutland in the game. It's unbelievable the way this team can run the football. And they don't have Jalen Hurts. We haven't even brought up Jordan Howard and Boston Scott could barely play because he was ill all week. You don't have the 60, 70 yards from Jalen Hurts. Bang, 185.
Yeah, it seems like the offensive line is self-sustaining now. Though it doesn't matter who goes in there; it's just almost like plug and play. Oh, we lost somebody here.
I do think
there you go.
Jason Kelsey is not plug and play. He's the one guy.
He's pretty. Yeah, I think especially when it comes to protections and everything else, like he's a linchpin. And if it had say Malo was around, I think they'd be all right. But you're right when it comes to that. But when you look at the way this thing, like especially with the league being pass heavy now, and the emphasis being on you have to throw the ball. This team, I'm sorry, to me, this team's identity is it's a running team. Even though it doesn't matter who's the quarterback, doesn't matter if it's Hurts, doesn't matter if it's Minshew. I think the team, the way it's constructed and what they do well is running the ball. And there's no shame in doing that. I think that if you're looking at you're going to do what's the best to get you into the playoff and make a playoff run, you got to do what you do best. And right now, this team is a running team, and they have the pieces able to do that. I think it helps, especially with some of the struggles that the defense have had in the last few weeks, especially they locked down Zach Wilson afterwards. But when you look at the struggles they had, running the ball and controlling the clock and keeping opposing offenses on the field is probably the best thing for them to do right now.
All right, Chris, certainly the defense for the Eagles on Sunday was a tale of two halves. First half, Jets 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, the first one was easy because Berrios set them up at the 21-yard line with the big kickoff return. But the Jets did drive it and stuck in the end zone 2 straight times thereafter. And from that point on, they went scoreless. So the Eagle defense was getting beat to a pulp early and absolutely stoned the Jets thereafter. What changed? What was different? Take whatever Nick Sirianni said after the game into consideration, or we'll hear from JG later this week. What do you think? What did you see that said, all right, there's the before defense and the after defense for the Eagles?
I think it was mainly what the offense did. I thought once the Jets basically had to chase and try to throw the ball down the field as much and it like they also tried to adjust and they put more pressure on there. You saw Josh Sweat play a little bit better as well to get some more rushes. So it looks like they played a little bit, and it also looked like they played a little bit more press towards like the late third quarter, early fourth quarter as well too. And then once they got basically say, okay, Zach Wilson, go and beat us like throwing the ball now downfield. He has issues with that. To me, he has issues trying to move the ball deep. So I thought that was the biggest change I saw. But it's getting real concerning because early on, and that's the game plan now that teams have against the Eagles. If you get the ball out quickly, if you use screens, if you use slants, if you don't let that defensive line get to the quarterback, and you basically continue to play that zone, that play off of them, they're just going to have field days against them. And it looked like it was going that way. I was sitting there looking like this. Are we seeing like Justin Herbert all over again with Zach Wilson going against this Eagles defense? But for the Eagles' sake, they were lucky they were able to make those changes.
All right, Chris, I feel like we're burying the lead, and I should have started with the obvious, and that's who should start for the Eagles at quarterback moving forward, because we are in Philadelphia, and what does Philadelphia love? I joke. Maryland does crab cakes and football. We do cheesesteaks and quarterback controversy.
Can we get a t-shirt made up for that?
Yeah, I might trademark that. So I'll bring up one of Jody's other 75 jobs. He beats me by 1, I think. WIP. They, of course, being WIP, put up the poll this morning. I was just checking where we are with it. Is Philadelphia getting more mature? 67-33, Jalen Hurts.
I also think it helped that Nick Sirianni came out and said that Hurts is going to be the starter, and I agree with him.
Yeah, but have the Philadelphia football fans ever just taken the coach at his word? Have they not been ready to go, no, coach, you're wrong? Come on, this is Philadelphia we're talking about. They're not afraid to fly in the face of a rookie coach, first-year coach. Yeah, that shouldn't scare anybody off saying, go Gardner.
That hasn't happened. No. To me, you know what it reminds me of? This situation truly reminds me of back when McNabb was hurt and then you had Coy Detmer. There's so many eerie similarities when you look at just basically when you have Hurts, I think he should. Well, firstly, I think Hurts should be I'll start with this. Hurts should be the guy starting the rest of the season no matter what, because you still have to evaluate him. But you have this guy, you have Minshew coming in, the eccentric guy who's doesn't have the strongest arm, but can get the ball accurately in spot, and people fall for him. It's eerily similar to those early 2000 teams with McNabb and Coy Detmer, looking like with Hurts and with Minshew. I like what Minshew can do for you if you need him in a couple games. If that was a team, say like, I don't know, say it's the 49ers or something like that. For the life of me, I didn't know why Robert Saleh didn't put those safeties up a lot more and put more pressure, because when you look at where Minshew plays well and excels at, it's those passes within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. He likes to, just like we were talking about Zach Wilson, what he was doing well early on, that's what Minshew likes to do. One, look at first read, second read. Okay, I don't have it. Where's Miles Sanders? Where's Kenny Gainwell? And I'll dump it off. I thought if the Jets had put those safeties, and if teams in the future, if Minshew ever has to play again, if teams just put like 8, 9 in the box, that gets them closer to stopping those shorter routes. It stops and it helps stop the run as well too. There's limitations to Gardner Minshew's game for that. He's not perfect. He's good for what he is. I think he's good as a backup quarterback for this team right now. But long term, even for a playoff or anything, I over time, I just don't see it happening with this team.
I agree with you, Chris. I think the longer he plays, the more he gets exposed, especially when you get to good defensive coordinators. They're going to see what you just said. They're going to jump those routes, try to take away the first, the second progressions. You can't really get the football down the field. But for one day, you got to see, to me, the information is more valuable than the players because to me, Gardner Minshew's backup quarterback, a good backup quarterback, but a backup quarterback. But you got to see Nick Sirianni's passing offense with a quarterback that makes quick decisions, with a quarterback that gets, we've seen some issues with play calls getting in. You never know. Is that the coaching staff, the young coaching staff getting sort of frazzled, getting the play in late? Well, you saw none of that. Everything was on time. Everything was out of his hand quickly. You mentioned the progression. It's been pretty much 1A, 1B, then go for the majority of the year. You added something to it here with the dump offs, that third progression. All of a sudden, Kenny Gainwell's back in the offense. You look at the targets. I brought this up. Now, Gardner hit 80%, but he only targeted, I think it was 21 or 22 of those passes. Only 2 were incomplete. Is there something to how this offense ran with a quarterback making quick decisions, getting the football out of his hands quickly?
I think there is. I mean, you have a lot of athletic guys with weapons. When you look at Smith, who I was shocked that he didn't give as many targets as he normally does, or get more targets in that game. You look at Goddard; these are guys who are, and Watkins even too. These are guys who can make plays after the catch, and so you want to get the ball in their hands in an area where you can get the throw and they can do their thing. And I think there is. I think if anything, when Hurts comes back in, I think he can learn to say, hey, you know what? I don't have to scramble around in the backfield, try to make plays like these highlight Lamar Jackson style type plays. You can get the same effect by just dumping it off to Sanders and Scott. And I think that's the biggest learning thing I think he can learn from the sideline, because if he continues to, it's not sustainable to continue to run around and scramble for 20, 30 years, especially if he wants to stay in the league for 9, 10, 11, 12 years, because it's that the physical wear and tear is going to eat him up. So if he learns to take the checkdowns and learns to take the shorter routes and just basically take what the defense gives him, like Minshew did yesterday, I think it'll go a long way, not only to preserving his body for the future, but I think for a long way for his success as a starting quarterback.
I know I like the hypothetical questions, and some people hate the fact that I ask as many hypothetical questions as I do, but sorry, sports talk radio. I think it is a staple. As a matter of fact, this is pretty hypothetical. Did anyone ask the head coach what would happen if Jason Kelce had stepped on Gardner Minshew's foot and broken a toe when they jogged out there to start the game? If Gardner couldn't have gone, was Reed Sinnett up to running the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday?
Reed Sinnett, he was available. If push came to shove, I think you would have seen a lot of the offense, but I think he doesn't have as strong as an arm as even Minshew. And that's saying something. His game is truly trying to get anticipation and getting the ball in the right areas. I want to know, especially who's the emergency in that situation, not just behind Reed Sinnett, because
got to be Greg, right?
And you also have Tyree Jackson too.
Yeah,
you got two quarterbacks.
That's right. Tyree, yeah, you got a good point. Tyree I forgot about Tyree. He might be better than Reed Sinnett.
For being nice, Reed Sinnett is perfect in the position that he's in right now. I'll leave it at that.
He'll be a nice guy. So you guys are speculating that the coach might have skipped right over Reed Sinnett. No, or Tyree Jackson.
No.
Hurt himself going in on the first play yesterday. No. Is that what you're saying?
No. I think it would have been more of a, say if they needed a Hail Mary and it was like Navy, like what Navy and Army does at the end of the game, they usually bring another quarterback in to try to throw it because the main one usually gets that.
I have to admit, I don't know much about Reed Sinnett as a quarterback. Because I do know the first indication when I was sure that Gardner Minshew was going to start very early, when typically only the practice squad guys, the guys who aren't going to be active, are out there. Reed Sinnett was not throwing. Alex Tanney, who's a quality control coach for the Eagles now, used to be a quarterback for the Giants most recently, I think. He was out there throwing, so you knew. And by the way, Reed was out there, but he was at the hip of Brian Johnson. Like, he was getting that last minute. Okay, we're gonna shove everything about this offense down your throat at the very last minute. So he knew he was going to be the backup quarterback. But Chris, Reed is 6'4". He's got to have a stronger arm than Gardner Minshew, doesn't he?
I'll
look at him. He's got to have a stronger arm than Gardner Minshew. I don't know, though. I admit, I don't know.
I'll share the story, and I'll put the caveat as in he may have been throwing a lot more when this happened. But when we were in Denver, and basically pregame, the tight ends are playing around. Dallas Goedert, Tyree Jackson, and Sinnett, they're all standing pregame, and they're trying to throw and hit the crossbar. So Dallas Goedert goes, and I think it clings just off the bottom of the crossbar. Tyree Jackson goes just a little bit short. It actually bounced. It hits one of the security people in the back of the head once it hits the ground. So I'm trying to laugh on that one. That was kind of funny. But then Reed Sinnett goes, and it goes like halfway into the end zone, maybe to the goal line itself.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's not
so
good.
I don't know if it's a fundamental thing. He historically doesn't have a really strong arm, and that's one of the knocks that he wound up going to the University of San Diego, originally transferred. That's one of the knocks, but he'd be perfect in the old school West Coast offense. Get there 3 steps, get ball quick, and then go out that way too.
All right, Chris, this one's for you, but if Johnny Mac, you want to kick in, please do so as well. Assuming 2 weeks from now, when the Eagles return from their bye, all their running backs are healthy. We've been without Jordan Howard the last couple of weeks. Miles left the game, ankle re-injury. You guys will both get more information on both Kelsey and Miles today, hopefully, because then they're going to shut it down. And if the coach doesn't answer the question about injuries today, you sure as hell aren't going to get an answer from him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we hopefully have a pretty good estimate on the Eagles running back game. Assuming everyone's healthy, they've got all 4 guys healthy. How's it going to play going down the stretch? If they all stay healthy, how is the coach going to incorporate Sanders, Howard, Scott, and Gainwell?
I think we saw a preview of it a couple of weeks ago. I think you'll see that Miles Sanders will remain the guy and be the one will be the starter. I think you mix in Jordan Howard to be the physical presence as a change of pace, and especially short yardage and goal line. I think you use Scott here and there, but primarily in special teams. And if they only choose to go with 3, you got Kenny Gainwell's going to be the one that's down. And I will say this about Kenny Gainwell. It looked like, I don't know what was towards the middle of the season where like he was struggling a bit. I don't know if I know there's some times where he's missing blocks and it's overall, when it came to overall game plan and stuff like that, wise, he was down. But yesterday he came up big when they needed him. And it fit perfectly, especially with the check downs that they were using and even running the ball too. He looked a lot more patient too. Like I will say that the running backs did very well being patient, finding their holes yesterday. And that included Gainwell. And he saw it manifest itself in that game. So, but you're saying all that, I think he's the one that's down. They roll with those 3, especially, and you need reliable guys down the stretch that can run the ball and have experience doing it too.
So does that change if the quarterback is different? If Jalen is hurt again, in other words, is Kenny Gainwell more important when Gardner Minshew is on the field? Is that the sort of a decision made based on who the quarterback is going to be?
I don't think so. I think even with Minch, I think even if you're looking at a person who can be that outlet, I think Boston Scott, if that's the case, I think Boston Scott would probably maybe get a little bit more run than Jordan Howard. But Jordan Howard, that's the fun balancing act, because Jordan Howard's a really good pass protector, but Scott's the better receiver. I mean, Jordan Howard's gotten better at it, but it's still not as apt as, say, Scott. So I still think it'll be a Kenny Gainwell being out completely unless there's unless they decide, hey, you know what, make a wholesale change and go out the box with a return game. But I think overall, you're just looking at those 3 right now.
All right, one last running back question before we move on, and I want both of you to promise you're not going to look this up right now. on your computers, because I know you both got computers in front of you right now. Look at me. Don't look at your computer.
All right.
How many touchdowns does Miles Sanders have this year?
0.
Yeah.
Damn. I had not realized that. I just looked it up myself. I'm a cheating bastard, too. I didn't. Miles hasn't made the end zone yet this year.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, because Miles usually breaks one off, so he hasn't had the long run. But yeah, Kenny's got what, 5 now?
Yeah, Kenny's got been the one. Like, and you wouldn't think like he would be the goal line guy, especially with his size, but he finds a way to slither into those holes and get in there. And I think it's it's an aberration. I mean, it looked like they were really trying to a couple times that I want to say either second or third quarter. Like they really were trying to get the ball in the end zone with Sanders at that point, but he just couldn't get through. And I don't know if
I mean, I used to have this discussion way back when, I would tell people that I would get in a lot of trouble for this, Chris. I would say Emmitt Smith is a better running back than Barry Sanders, but Sanders is the better runner. In other words, Barry Sanders is one of the most spectacular, maybe the most spectacular runner, and obviously we're talking about Hall of Famers, so it's a lot different. But Miles has that same mentality. He's always looking for the home run, and you got that spec. When you're inside the 10-yard line, what do you want? You want Emmitt Smith going ahead, getting touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. You have to understand the situation. All coaches talk about situational football. I don't think Miles Sanders is a touchdown guy because he's not the guy you want running the football when you're inside the 4 or 5 yard line. Boston Scott, even though he's small, hits the hole. Jordan Howard obviously hits the hole. Kenny Gainwell, he hits the hole when he's inside the red zone. Fair or unfair?
It's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's fair. Yesterday, I'd probably say he was more north-south than he normally was. Normal was. But in the past, there have been times where he would try to bounce something outside when there was something opening up right around the center guard area, and then you can't do that around there because you got about 8-9 guys all right near the line of scrimmage, and they're playing soundly. They're all right there in their gaps, and surprise, you're all blocked up. I think that was the big knock on him, but. I'm really to me, I'm really shocked we haven't seen like a 50-yard run, especially like on a zone read, because when teams have to, either if it's Minshew back there, which I thought he was going to pull, he had some room on the outside. I thought he was going to pull a couple times, but when teams start to respect you when you're running that play, and they start keeping like the 2 or 3 backside guys back there to worry about that little split second just opens things up wide. And you saw that last year when they were playing the Saints. Even when it was the Steelers too, but definitely against the Saints, where teams had to really truly respect his own read, and then Sanders took it 70 yards. And I'm shocked you haven't seen more of that. Also, I wonder if that ankle's doing as well too when it comes to that breakaway initial burst. I wonder how much that ankle is affecting him from doing that as well too.
All right, I like my hypothetical question so much earlier. I'm going back to another one here. And I'm going to, because of my partner, John McMullen, and his continued harping on the fact that, the Eagles learned something about the offense yesterday because Gardner Minshew was in there. Let's take the 50,000-foot view of this rather than the narrow focus. This was supposed to be a transitional season for the Eagles. But here we sit with 4 weeks to play. They're half a game out of the last playoff spot. And by the way, they play the team that they trail twice in the next 3 weeks. So they very much control their own destiny. Judging for the Eagles good for 2021, 22, 23, 24, and the very narrow focus of the next month, let's make the playoffs. What happens if the Eagles, when they return against Washington in a couple of weeks, are trailing 9-3 at half against the Redskins? They've got all of one Jake Elliott field goal. Jalen Hurts is 6 of 14 for 42 yards at half. Doesn't throw a pick.
Jody's trying to create the controversy.
That's exactly where I'm going. It's halftime of the 9-3 game in Washington, and Jalen Hurts has not played all that well on the return. Who comes out and quarterbacks Eagles in the second half of next game?
Jalen Hurts does. I really truly think Jalen Hurts does because I think he gives you a better chance to win. And I think when you look at the defense that he was playing against, was it the 29th ranked passing defense?
Yeah.
That is, I was looking
part of it.
Yeah, and going to this game around Friday, Saturday, I'm really thinking like, if Minshew lights this up, this is going to be an interesting 2 weeks coming into this, and it happened.
And he did.
And so I still think, even if it was 9-3, because of the dynamic playmaking when his ankle was right, because knowing him, and especially I give Hurts the benefit of the doubt because in the fourth quarter, something always seems to happen with him where it's like something clicks and it's like, okay, bam, 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 down the field, and the team drives and they look a lot better. So I'd probably say even if it's 9-3, I think they win that game 13-9 or something like that. Oh, no, wait, I can get a defense credit. So they win that game, but I really truly think that you still have to stick with Hurts. Now, if it's I'm going to kick myself on this one, but if it's prolonged for 2 or 3 games, and somehow the Eagles are in that, like say it's that game against the Cowboys, and the Eagles are fighting for a playoff spot somehow still even after that, then I think it's an interesting decision then. But up till then, I think you got to go Hurts.
All right, last one for me, Chris, and I think the most important part of the game, and maybe it's nothing, but Jason Kelce came off, and he did not look good coming off the field yesterday. I feel silly saying this because I thought the guy was done last year when he hyperextended his elbow. You remember that. We're all like, oh, all right, Kelce's out for the year. And then he misses one play, comes out after halftime, and he can't raise his arm. He plays the rest of the game. The Eagles' offensive line has been amazing, replacing players, as you said, self-sustaining. Jason Kelce, they can't replace him. Or how do they replace him? There's a lot of option. Nate Herbig, we saw, first snap, sails it over Gardner Minshew's head. He did the same thing earlier in the season when Kelce had to leave for a play. Landon Dickerson played center at a high level in college. Would they think about moving him there? Brandon Brooks, is he back in the mix after the bye? What the heck do you do without Jason Kelce?
Well, the whole Brandon Brooks thing, that is the key. I think that's the key what goes on, because if he's able to come back, and he does come back, then I think Herbig, you still have to stick with Herbig, because I think you have to get your best 5 guys out there, and I think he does that. Well, the other option, I'd probably say if Brooks doesn't come back or he's still lingers on, you keep Herbig there, and I think you have to look at Jack Anderson, because I think besides him,
Anderson,
get him back off of IR. Because to me, I know he played guard too, but he's a more natural center, I think, than having Herbig. Herbig's learning it, but I think if he gets a week to prepare, knowing that he's the guy, he gets the snaps down with Hurts, gets the timing down, the rhythm, gets a week to digest some of the calls, being in a position, I think he could be okay for a couple of weeks. I don't think he's your franchise guy at center. I think he's a better guy at guard. But I think if that's the case, but if you know that Brooks is not coming back and Anderson's healthy enough to go, I'm elevating Anderson, putting him at center, because the other guy you would have loved to have in a situation, he's on IR too, and say Amalu. So you're out that. So I think you have to go, you look at Herbig first, but with the caveat that Brooks is coming back. If he doesn't, then I'm thinking you shift him over to keep him at right guard. Anderson's elevated, and you bring up Luke Juriga from the practice squad.
All right, wow.
Chris Franklin. By the way, before you jump in, Jody, that's why Chris is great with the Jack Anderson pull. So I love that. NJ.com. Chris Franklin. Go ahead, Jody.
See, now here's where I love Chris too, but I'm doubting. I'm guessing now. This one's on you, McMullen. Do you think Chris Anderson can pick him out of a 6-pack?
Well,
do you think
Jack,
he could get him in the lineup?
Know Jack. Yeah, Jack's got some interesting tattoos. Jack stands out.
Well, you can't see his tattoos. He's in full body pajamas. Tattoos are not visible. Can you pick him out?
I can pull.
I could, because I like hanging around, especially.
I'm admitting I can't. I know Jack Anderson from Jack. You know what?
Well, the offensive line, see, they don't care. They practice right in front of us. So
yep.
The quarterbacks are in, 4 counties over. They try to hide from us, but we can pick out all the offensive linemen. They're right. We're right on top of them.
I could pick out Herbig because he looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. He'd be the easiest one to pick out. Wouldn't be a problem. Me, anyone else on the offensive line? Yeah, and Lane Johnson, I know. But the rest of the guys would be taking a shot. All right, what are you doing for the next 2 weeks, Chris Franklin?
I'm working. I'll be working. I'll actually be up Sunday. I'll be up to watch.
You don't have a day off. You're not going fishing. You're not going down the casinos to gamble. You got no vices you can share with us. Come on, you got to be doing something exciting.
I do my vices during the regular week. I drink. That's what I do. That's the regular thing. I do that during the regular week.
Not changing.
that's not changing.
That happens every day.
The bar at 9:30 tonight, watching Monday Night Football.
You got that right. I'll see on Sunday. I'll see your Jets.
Are you covering the game this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be at the Jets Saints game, helping out Joey Chandler for NJ.com. So yeah, I'll be back up at Maryland 3 weeks in a row. I'm waiting for my residency. I'm waiting for the seat, at least with my back of my name on the back of it, because been up there for so much. It's oh my goodness, the Turnpike and me, we're good friends now.
Another prediction: the Jets secondary will suck again this week. Just a prognostication by a football handicapper here. Sorry, Mr. Mosley, if you think the boys behind you are going to get any better next week because you decided to spout it off after the game. Not happening. The Jets' defensive secondary stinks. And kudos to Gardner Minshew for taking advantage of it. Mr. Franklin, is always a pleasure. Thanks for hopping on, bud. We'll get you up in a couple weeks.
Hey, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's always fun. Appreciate it.
Chris Franklin, little did we know that he likes to have a cocktail every once in a while.
Oh, I knew.
You never know what you're going to learn here on Birds 365. All right, John Mack. We got quick timeout. Don't come back and put a bow on the show. I need you to get a pen and a piece of paper. I am going to ask you the most poignant question I have ever asked you on Birds 365.
You're really when we selling this. All right.
Are you ready for this?
You
might need a pen and a piece of paper just to jot down.
Man. It's too early in the morning for something this important.
I'm giving you the 3-minute break we got coming up here to get ready for it, okay?
All right. That's all I need.
The most poignant question I've ever asked my partner here on Birds 365.
Now I'm nervous.